Shalom, I hope you all are doing well. I am blessed and I am back again with a quick video. In today's video, I'm going to talk about being set apart. Before I get into the message, I just want to say something real quick. Some of you might realize that I'll make a title on my video and I'll go back and change it at some point. Now, some of you might realize this. I did this with my last video titled Yeshua, the Image of the Invisible Father. Now the title is The Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit are one. So I just want to briefly explain why this happens. In my mind, the message is there, but when I post the video, I don't always have a title. And sometimes the title will come to me 2 or 3 days later. And so even though I don't always have an official title in my mind, I always want to give my viewers a hint or a clue, if you will, of what my content is about. With that being said, I try not to do it very often, but sometimes the title will change and even, the picture that I have on the video. Okay, with that being said, now let's get into the message. Being set apart from the world. Why are we commanded to be set apart? When you begin to obey the voice of the Most High, people will not understand your lifestyle change. Your family won't, your friends won't, your work won't, and the world in general will not understand why you're living a life contrary to how they're living. And what we need to understand is that people hate this truth so much that they will begin to develop a hate for you. Now, for time's sake, I will not be putting Bible verses on the screen, but I'll tell you where you can find the verses as I talk in the message. In Matthew chapter 10 and verse 34 through 37, Yahushua said, "Don't think that he came to make peace on earth. He said that he came to set a man at variance with his family." The definition of variance is the state or fact of disagreeing or quarreling. So this comes with the territory. This is telling us that automatically, when we start to walk in this truth, people in our families are going to be the ones who are going to fight with us. They're going to disagree and disapprove of our lifestyle change, so much so that they're going to begin to develop a hatred for us. So we know that the hate for us who are walking in this truth just comes with the territory. There's a precept to this in Luke chapter 12, verse 51 through 53, where Yahushua tells us that he did not come to make peace, but set division. Now, some of us can definitely identify with this because many of us are going through this with our families right now. In Micah chapter 7 and verse 6, it says, "For the son dishonored the father, the daughter rise up against her mother, the daughter-in-law against her mother-in-law. A man's enemies are the men of his own house." Yahushua could have said that your enemies are going to be your friends, your next door neighbor, the people at your job, but he didn't say that. He said that your enemies are going to be those of your own household. And by him saying these enemies will be your mother, your father, your sister, brother, children, or your in-laws, this let you know how close these people are to you in your family. This is not some distant cousin that you haven't seen in many years. These are people who have either lived with you in your house or you have married into their families. Now, we definitely cannot leave out the fact that this truth is causing division between husbands and wives as well. So then when you reach the point where your family members become distant and they don't want anything to do with you anymore because you're literally on 2 different pages, what does the Bible direct us to do? First, let's take a look at the example that the Hamashiach gave us when he referred to his real or true family members. Now, this is found in Luke 8, chapter 19 through 21. It says, "Then came to him his mother and his brethren, and could not come at him for the press. And it was told him by certain which said, Thy mother and thy brethren stand without, desiring to see thee. And he answered and said unto them, My mother and my brethren are these which hear the word of Elohim and do it." So Yahushua is saying, basically, it doesn't make you a real family or true family just because you're blood related. You have to be keeping the commandments. Those are your real brothers and sisters. If you really think about this, just because someone is blood related to us, this doesn't mean that because they hold a certain title in our family, that it's going to keep them from transgressing us. However, those who are trying to keep the Most High's laws, statutes, and commandments have a greater chance of not transgressing us. At the end of the day, it doesn't matter who these people are who are not keeping the commandments. We are directed by the Most High to not hang out with them, to not have any type of fellowship with them. We could find this in 2 Corinthians chapter 6, verses 14 through 16, where Yahuwah asked the question, what fellowship had righteousness with unrighteousness? And then in 1 Corinthians chapter 15 and verse 33, Yahuwah says that bad company could corrupt righteous people. So now we're looking at the reasons that the Most High commanded us to be set apart from this world. In Proverbs chapter 13, verse 20 through 21, Yahuwah says, "He who is a companion of fools shall be destroyed." Now, this is not to say that we can't minister to people, because people need healing, but we're not to hang out with people who are living a life of crime, etc. So the Bible's pretty clear about us not keeping company with evildoers, because we're trying to endure unto the end, and in order to do that, we have to continue to adhere to Yahuwah's laws, statutes, and commandments. And we already know that he said that keeping bad company can even corrupt righteous people. In Psalms chapter 26, verse 4 through 5, the psalmist says that he hates the congregation of evildoers and will not sit with the wicked. So all of these holidays that they're keeping, and they're barbecuing and making pork ribs and pork chops and pork steak and, shrimp and all these abominable foods, we're supposed to stay away from all of that. And so once again, we're not to be hanging out with people who don't keep the Most High's commandments. So now let me show you where we can find this in the Bible. It is 1 Corinthians chapter 5 and verse 11, and it reads, "But now I have written unto you not to keep company, if any man that is called a brother be a fornicator, or covetous, or an idolater, or a railer, or a drunkard, or an extortioner. With such an one, know not to eat." And many of us love our families, and we have friends who are like family, and we want to just go along to get along so that we can still be included in their company. But the Most High speaks against this. At the end of the day, we're supposed to choose Yah over our family. We can find this in Luke chapter 14 and verse 26. There was a quote that I saw online and I really liked it, and it says, "Tell me what company you keep, and I will tell you who you are." You can't keep a clean reputation hanging around messy people. So it is better to be set apart and be alone and make it into the kingdom than to have a bunch of wicked company and be condemned to hell. This concludes my message. May Yahuwah bless you and keep you and your family safe. Keep Yahuwah's laws, statutes, and commandments to the best of your ability. And remember Matthew chapter 24 and verse 13. "He that endures unto the end, the same shall be saved." And until my next video, Shalom.